Hey guys, it's Snakey here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we're doing another episode of the Sword and Sorcery Book Club. Today we're looking at Conan the Barbarian, number 24 of the new Titan run. Well, I guess it's not new anymore if there's 24 issues of it, but you guys get what I'm saying. So, I still don't have a physical copy of it. I do have the e-arc that Jim Sub sends to a variety of people, so I'm just going to use that to review it. I won't be able to show you any art or anything, not that I do anyways, but I don't have the option to do so. And the reason I don't have a physical copy is because I've not been able to make it down to my local comic book store. I'm hoping to go this upcoming Wednesday, but I don't know. I was going to go yesterday and then I didn't, and then I was going to go today and I ended up getting sidetracked and doing other things, and I just don't want to go anymore. So here we are. Hopefully I'll get a physical copy of it soon, but I still have the material necessary to do a review. So here we are. We're going to do it. And in the next couple of weeks, I'm not sure when, but in the next couple of weeks, I will try to go back, reread all of the 12 issues so far of this year and kind of do an overview of year 2 of Titan's run, right? Or of Heroic Signature's run, really. And give you a rundown of the story, and give you a rundown of the initiatives that they did, the publishing initiatives, and then do a kind of walkthrough of my thoughts on this second year, right? It's going to be a bit more tumultuous than the first one. I think that in general, the first year was immediately successful. It went in, there was no hitch, everything went the way it was supposed to. But the second year with the Titan kind of being under Diamond and Diamond imploding caused a lot of different problems and a lot of issues, and that kind of made some of the delivery of some of the issues not hit as well as it should have, plus some of the choices that they made in the second year feel like maybe they shouldn't have been done. So we'll see how it goes, but I do want to mention that I am going to be doing that video sometime soon. I'm not quite sure when, hopefully before November, but we'll see. And then, of course, issue 25 launches year 3, and I will be talking about what that kind of entails in that video as well. So, yeah, but today we're looking at 24, awesome Dan Panosian cover with a really nice green-yellow color as the main color for the cover. Very happy about that. It's much better than the previous Dan Panosian cover that we got last time. I did get cover A. I'm not going to get any of the variants for this month, although some of them did look pretty cool. There was one that was in black and white that had the snake people with human heads drawn on it, and it looked really, really great. But I prefer to minimize my purchase of variant covers. I don't really like them. I think that they're a bad thing for the comic book industry, and I prefer not to support them when I can, but I do end up buying some of them here and there because they look really cool, right? So, yeah. The actual story here focuses in on Amyth-Bast's reaction to being betrayed by Conan, who she calls Amra, and she shows up very powerfully. She's like, vengeance, I swear vengeance on your soul. The guards that protect her ask her what's wrong, and she tells them that she has been betrayed by her favorite, really, gladiator, Amra, the champion, and that she will send all her men to scour the city and find him, and no one will rest. No one in the city will rest until Conan has been brought to her and killed, right? And, well, we see that Conan and Zula are hiding around, and they're struggling with moving through the city without tipping anyone off that they're there, and they're having a conversation with each other about what they're going to be facing down below when they go find the breeding rooms that Thoth-Amon mentioned in the previous issue, right? And so they're walking down there. Then Conan has a question for Azula. He tells him, how is it that you managed to be marked by Set? Are you working for him or not? Right? And Zula is like, no, when I purified you, when I exercised the Serpent Fang thing, a curse from you, I put it into an amulet and I wear it around my neck, and that allows me to walk through the city with no problems, right? And so it turns out that Zula was not healing Conan out of a goodness in his heart or some sort of honor, but rather because it was useful for him to do so, right? And Conan gets a bit annoyed at this. I guess he finds the lack of honor annoying, and he tells Zula, this is exactly what a snake would say, right? It was a selfish stratagem, and that really he doesn't trust him, right? And as they're going to continue to fight, they hear things coming up from the stairs, and it turns out that it's a trio of guards, and they decide to put aside their differences for now, and they attack them and kill them and beat them. And Conan finds himself kind of coming back to life in a sense. In the fighting pits, it was all spectacle. It was, a fight to his death, but there was a certain level of like protection afforded to him. There was a certain level of like, this is not as serious as it would be otherwise, right? And now his life is in danger properly once again, and that difference means something to him, and it helps him kind of come back to life in a sense. He is excited, I guess is the word, but he's also like happy to be back in a proper life and death situation with no added baggage to it, right? And apparently this is good for him. So he's quite happy with that. I guess it goes on with his atavistic nature. And so Conan and Zula defeat these men. And Zula asks Conan to forgive him for the trickery before, that they should put their differences aside. And Conan agrees. He's like, okay, sure, but I don't trust magic. I'll honor the pact, but once we're done, I'm not talking to you again. We're going to go our separate ways, right? And I guess Zula agrees to that. They find themselves in front of a giant black door, and they can't open it. So Zula kind of uses the magic in the amulet with the Stygian curse on it, and he guides this magic towards the door, which allows the door to open. And so in like a chamber of secrets kind of way, they open a secret door and they go down into the depths that lead them to this kind of like chamber that reminds me of the first Alien movie. It's this giant cavernous thing, and there's a bunch of eggs everywhere, and it's like nasty and horrific and decrepit, and it's really cool looking. And out of these black eggs with this green glowing goo come man serpents, these things called the Children, that are snakes with human heads, right? They look kind of like Medusas. They look like the god in the bowl that Conan had fought once before. And Zula tells Conan, whatever you do, don't look into their eyes, right? And, well, Conan immediately does. And because he sees them, he's kind of hypnotized by them. He's turned to stone, metaphorically. And he remembers, he comes back to his youth when he was in Nemalia, I think it was what it's called. Numalia, where he saw this child, this god in the bowl, right? And they attack them. They start killing them, and Zula is attacking these man serpents quite easily, but he's getting tied down by them. There's just too many. Whereas Conan is seeing what I assume to be Set, this Egyptian-looking woman who tells him, you met me when you were young, and you stand before me once again. There is this temptation in you to come here. And she tells him about this ancient feud that must be destroyed, or all shall be doomed. And I wonder if, in this case, Set is the evil, embodiment of our world, but Set being here protects us from some of the other eldritch horrors, which would be similar to what Jim did in his previous story, The Serpent War, I think that's what it was called. Where Set battles the worm from the Valley of the Worm, right? And they're two different eldritch beings that both kind of have dominion over similar things, and they both have this like wormy, snaky kind of like animal shape to them, and they battle. And they're kind of two sides of the same coin. They're both evil, but Set is less evil than the worm. And so in that story, Khonshu, the Fist of Khonshu, comes and helps to help Set remove the worm from Earth, right? I wonder if this is similar. It's not going to be the same thing because that's a different timeline. This is going to be different, but I wonder if that's really what it's talking about, right? Set is an evil god, but is a god that has dominion over some eldritch things, and so they manage to act as a buffer against other more evil things that exist in space, right? And so she says, ancient feuds must crumble or we all shall be doomed. Whereas Zula is screaming, Conan, you must resist or else we're doomed. And so it's the same kind of concept. One of them wants them to succumb, and the other one wants them to rebel against this situation. And thankfully, Zula is the one that gets through to Conan. He comes back to himself and he screams bloody devils as he starts killing these man-serpents, right? These children. And as he does this, he draws their attention. They leave Zula alone. He manages to force himself out of their grasp, and he starts to try to exercise the curse of Set that he's carrying in his amulet, where Conan doesn't have the patience for that. He steals it off of Zula's breast. He removes it from his chest. He grabs it, and he crushes it against the floor, breaking the amulet, breaking the stone, and so releasing the curse. And removing it from the world, right? Then Zula talks about the fact that he swore to fight till every snake was slain, and so he shall, and he starts killing all of them as he can, and then Conan and Zula go off into the night. They come back up the stairs, and as they're doing this and they're fighting these children, the children are wondering, why did these people just show up to these children that did nothing and suddenly just start attacking them? And why do they hate them so much? And why has this fire consumed them, right? And I wonder what the point of this is. Usually these characters are, human and they fall for some sort of, greed or whatever. And then they become monstrous, right? That's kind of how Robert E. Howard writes them. Whereas these creatures are monsters by nature, but they've not experienced anything yet, right? Because they have just been born. And so they're kind of technically free of guilt or sin or whatever you want to call it. And by Conan and Zula killing them, they are, from one perspective, freeing us from these monsters that would stalk us in the night. But from the perspective of the children, they are just attacking innocent beings, right? And usually, I think that in the modern sense, we do like to look at this, right? We are interested in the shades of gray between heroes and villains, and a lot of times we prefer villains that are justified, right? And this could serve as a justification for these children to be evil. They were attacked when they were innocent, and now they reap revenge on all humans. But in the context of the Robert E. Howard world, I'm not quite sure that it's a good thing to do this, unless this is to work on that idea that I mentioned earlier, which is that we're trying to see that Set is evil, but he's the lesser of two evils, and so we should accept him in some way. And I wonder if that's what this is doing, because I don't see what benefits we would gain as readers and Jim would gain as a writer from allowing us to feel sad or feel some sort of empathy or sympathy for these monsters, right? Unless there was some point to it, like what I just mentioned, right? So, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, Conan and Zula escape. They run into crowds in order to try to lose the guards that might be following them. And then Zula tells them we must leave. Conan says, no, we have not finished our pact. You still haven't saved Livia. And as he's trying to tell them this, Zula disappears into the night, right? And so Conan goes off by himself to try to save Livia. And when he gets to her tower, she's standing next to the window, and she tells him, that Amyth-Bast has used mind control on her, that she will give him a message, and then she will throw herself off the building. And her message is that you might have escaped my clutches this day, barbarian, but we shall meet again, and when I do, I will crush you, right? Amyth-Bast says this to Conan through the voice of Libya, and then Libya jumps off and dies, right? And Conan is quite upset about this. I don't necessarily think that he's upset at losing Libya particularly. I think rather he's upset at the fact that he promised her something and he couldn't live up to his promise, right? Because in the brief interaction that we saw in the original, Veil of the Lost Woman, and then in the story so far, in these 4 issues, there really has been no reason why Conan would care that much about Libya. And so I think it's really more about how it hurts him that he didn't live up to his promises, right? But I don't know, like this sort of reaction feels much more in line with something like Briza, Valeria, or Bellet. I don't necessarily think that he would express this sort of feeling of sadness, of despair, of what's it called, of sadness for this character dying, right? So I don't know. I think it's good that he does show it, but I feel like there was not enough work done on the character side to show us that he would care about her in this way, right? So there's that negative there, but you can kind of argue that it's implied throughout the time period that Conan has spent here, which has been maybe, a year, maybe a few months. It's definitely been enough time for him and Libya to connect with each other more. It's just that we haven't seen that happening, and so this sort of reaction feels overplayed in my opinion, right? And finally, at the end, we see Amyth-Bast being carried around the city, kind of asking, what the hell happened? Why is everyone reacting this way? And then being summoned by Thoth-Amon to go help put out the fires in the city. And she initially resists, and then she decides that she would be better off if she did listen, and so she goes and, obeys against her will, right? And then we see Conan leaving Stygia, wearing this really cool red cape as he goes off into the night, and he promises to never set foot in Stygia ever again, but fickle fate breaks many a man's promise, even a man as strong as Conan, right? So that's where the end of this book is. It was a great arc. I really, really enjoyed it. I think that there was a bit of a lull here in some of the storytelling in the previous arcs in the story, but we're back on track. We're back at the kind of best position that Jim usually has. He has a great artist with him to support his endeavors, and we're really ready to jump into the Scourge of the Serpent now. I mean, this is the last issue of the main series before the event. The next issue is going to be a standalone story, and I can't wait to start reading The Scourge of the Serpent. I think it'll be amazing. I think it'll be really fun. We're going to have a different artist on that one, so it's going to look a little bit different, but Danilo did a great job here, and I can't wait to see how Evangel does his work on The Scourge of the Serpent. So very, very good stuff. I can't wait to read more of it, and I'm really much looking forward to the next issue. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought down below. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys next time.